Good morning, students. Today we will look into another topic known as ecological pyramid, coming under this chapter ecosystem. Okay, what is ecological pyramid? This is a pyramid that we usually draw in order to explain the relationship between different organisms that are present in different trophic levels. We have studied what is a trophic level. Okay, it is a position an organism occupy in an ecosystem depending upon their food habit. In order to explain the relationship between different organisms belonging to different trophic level, we draw this ecological pyramid. Okay. Now, ecological pyramid as you all know, the base of the pyramid is always broad. It becomes narrow when we go to the apex or the tip of the pyramid. Generally, a pyramid is represented this way, right? So, we use similar types of pyramid in order to explain the relationship between different organisms of different trophic levels. Okay, so this type of pyramid where the base is broader and the apex is narrow is known as upright pyramid. Okay, there are certain pyramids where the apex is broader and the base is narrow. Such type of pyramids are known as inverted pyramids. Okay. Now, when we talk about ecological pyramids, we can draw three different types of pyramids. Pyramid of number, pyramid of biomass, and pyramid of energy. These three are the different types of ecological pyramid that we can use in order to represent the relationship between different organisms. Now let's take into account only the pyramid of number. We will see how we can draw the pyramid of number for different ecosystems. Okay. Now I will consider only pyramid of number here. Okay. We will draw pyramid of number for different ecosystem like a normal forest ecosystem, a pond ecosystem or a grassland ecosystem. Okay. Now here the fact that you should know here is while drawing this pyramid of number, we are taking into consideration only the number of individuals belonging to one trophic level in that respective ecosystem. Okay, we will consider an ecosystem. We will take into account only the number of organisms present in that particular ecosystem belonging to one particular trophic levels. Okay, let's take into account a grassland ecosystem. A grassland ecosystem. In a grassland ecosystem, we will have to consider 4 different trophic levels while drawing a pyramid, ecological pyramid. Okay, so that is trophic level 1. Who comes in trophic level 1? The primary producers. Okay. Since we are talking about grassland ecosystem, who are the primary producers who come under grassland ecosystem? Nothing but grass. Okay. Now, here while drawing an ecosystem, one side of the ecosystem we will represent the trophic level. Okay, we will represent the trophic level. On the other side of the pyramid, we will represent the type of pyramid or on the basis of what we are drawing this pyramid. Here this pyramid is based on the number of individuals present in that particular ecosystem. So here on the right side of the pyramid, we will write number of individuals. Okay, so this particular data represents the number. So this grass, we will write it inside the block itself or inside the pyramid itself. Okay, so this particular block represents primary producers. In the grassland ecosystem, these producers are grasses. Okay, so they belong to trophic level 1. Then we will move on to trophic level 2. Okay, now in a grassland ecosystem, here we will write a number. Since we have we will take the number as 2 lakhs. Imagine there are 2 lakhs grasses in a grassland ecosystem. Here we are representing the number of individuals. So 2 lakhs are the number of grasses found in a ecosystem or a grassland ecosystem. Please note that 2 lakh is an imaginary number. There would be lakhs and lakhs together. The lakhs and lakhs of grasses in a grassland ecosystem. We won't be able to count the number. Okay, here this is an imaginary number. Okay, now the organisms who will come under trophic level 2 will be known as primary consumers. Trophic level 2 includes organisms which are primary consumers. Now, who will feed on the grass? There would be goats feeding on the grass. So, these are the primary consumers. They are also represented as herbivores because they feed on the herbs or the plants. Okay, so they are represented as herbivores. They come under trophic level 2. Let us consider their number as 10,000. Okay, there are 2 lakhs grasses which are considered as primary producers. For these 2 lakhs grasses, there are 10,000 primary consumers. That means these are the consumers who will feed on this particular primary producers. Now let's move on to the next trophic level, that is trophic level 3. Okay, this is trophic level 2. Let's move on to trophic level 3. Okay. This includes organisms which are secondary consumers. Okay, so secondary consumers means the organism who will eat or who will feed on the primary consumers. Okay, let's take into account lions. Okay, lions will feed on goats. So what is the number of lion? There are 300 lions. Okay, in the grassland ecosystem. Now let's move on to the trophic level 4, which includes tertiary consumers. Who are the tertiary consumers? The organisms which will come as a top carnivore. These two organisms are the carnivores. Here they are not the topmost carnivores. The organisms which come in trophic level 4 are the top carnivores. Here we will consider vulture as the top carnivore. They are considered as tertiary consumers. Imagine their number is 5. Okay. Now this pyramid, if you look into the pyramid, the base is broader where the apex is narrower. This pyramid represents this upright pyramid. Okay, so in a grassland ecosystem, the ecological pyramid for number, pyramid of number for grassland ecosystem is a upright pyramid. Okay, I hope this is clear to you. One side of the pyramid we will represent the trophic level. whereas the other side of the pyramid we will represent number of individuals. Okay, so in the pyramid, the bottommost organism are the primary producers, then comes primary consumer, secondary consumer and tertiary consumers. This is the pyramid of number for a grassland ecosystem. We will study about pyramid of number for a forest ecosystem. For a forest ecosystem. Okay. In forest ecosystem, what happens is, again we will draw a pyramid here. On the left side of the pyramid, we will consider trophic level. On the right side of the pyramid, we will consider number of individuals. How many individuals are present? Okay. Now, in a forest ecosystem, imagine we will consider only one tree in the forest. Okay, we will consider only one tree as the primary producer. Okay, there is only one tree which we can consider as primary producer. They belong to trophic level 1. Okay, now there are in the trophic level 2, let us consider birds. Okay, birds who will feed on this particular tree. Okay, now there could be more than 100 birds who will be feeding on this particular primary producer, which is a tree. Okay, there could be hundreds of birds who are dependent on this particular tree. Okay, then the pyramid goes this way. Okay, then the trophic level 2, which includes primary consumers, which are birds. If the tree number is 1, number of individuals, and if there are 200 birds feeding on this particular producer, then this pyramid can be called as an inverted pyramid. Okay, this type of pyramid can be considered as a inverted pyramid. Okay, this is this is counting the number of individuals. Here we are taking we are considering one tree as a primary producer and birds as the primary consumers. In such cases, okay, we will call this particular pyramid as a inverted pyramid. Okay, if we move on to trophic level 3, then there could be there could be only one particular. If we are considering the secondary consumers, okay, if we consider snake, okay, the number can again reduce. There could be only 10. Okay, if we are considering tertiary consumers, which could be a vulture again, it could be only 1. Okay, initially when we considered only these two trophic levels, we can represent this particular pyramid as an inverted pyramid. Now this type of pyramid where there is an inverted feature also, again the upright feature also. This type of pyramid is generally referred as spindle shaped pyramid, okay, or a spindle pyramid. However, this is not actually explained in your syllabus. So generally we will consider only the trophic level 1 and the trophic level 2. Let us forget trophic level 3 and trophic level 4, and we will just say this pyramid for a forest ecosystem, the pyramid of number for a forest ecosystem is generally inverted. Okay, this can be represented. Now, if we have to draw one more pyramid of number for a pond ecosystem or an ocean ecosystem, then if we consider an ocean ecosystem, then in the ocean ecosystem, who are the primary producers? Phytoplanktons are the primary producers. Imagine their number is 2 lakhs. They will be primary consumers. In case of primary ocean ecosystem, we will consider zooplanktons as primary consumers. Imagine their number is 10,000. Then we will consider their number as 1 lakh. Okay, primary consumer number is 1 lakh. Then the secondary consumer will be fishes. Okay, imagine their number as 6,000 or 60,000. Okay, there would be tertiary consumers. We can take an example of larger fishes who will feed on smaller fishes. Okay, then imagine their number is 4,300. Then this pyramid is also an upright pyramid. Okay, the pyramid of number for ocean ecosystem is also upright. Only in the case of forest ecosystem, the pyramid becomes inverted. Okay, this is how we draw pyramid of number under ecological pyramids. Then next pyramid we will look into the pyramid of energy, or we will look into the pyramid of biomass. Okay, I hope this is clear to you. In the pyramid of, when we are representing pyramid of number, the pyramid could either be an upright pyramid or an inverted pyramid. In case of forest, it is generally an inverted pyramid. However, when we are considering a grassland ecosystem or an ocean ecosystem, the pyramid is generally an upright pyramid. Only when we are talking about, when we are considering the number of individuals present in that particular ecosystem belonging to one particular trophic level. Now let's look into the pyramid of biomass. Okay, if we are considering a pyramid of biomass, then here in order to draw the pyramid of biomass, we will be counting only the biomass or the dry weight of any particular organism. Okay, in this case we will be considering only the dry weight of the body of the organism. So here again we will have to talk about trophic level. Trophic level 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now in this case, again here in this case we can consider a grassland ecosystem or a forest ecosystem. You can take an example of both. It could be a forest ecosystem or a grassland ecosystem. Now let's consider I am taking a normal grassland ecosystem. Here we will have the primary producers who are nothing but grass. Okay. Here on the left hand side we will consider again the trophic levels. In the right hand side we will take into account the dry weight of the organism. Okay, which we can represent in kg. Okay, the primary producers are grass. Now let's consider their dry weight or the biomass as 2 lakhs kgs, because there would be millions and millions of grasses in a grassland. let's consider the primary consumer, which is a goat. There would be almost 200 goats feeding on this particular, these grasses, which will be present in a grassland ecosystem. Then there would be secondary consumers, who will be, again we'll take an example of lion. There would be only 10 lions. Finally, we will take into account the trophic level 3, 4, which is tertiary consumers. Okay, again we will take an example of vulture here. Imagine there would be only one vulture. If you take into consideration only their body weight, then again the pyramid of biomass for a grassland ecosystem or a forest ecosystem, it comes as a upright pyramid. Okay. Now let's consider a ocean ecosystem, and let us again consider the example of phytoplanktons and zooplanktons in different trophic levels. We will take different trophic levels 1, trophic level 2. Okay, we will take only 1 and 2 for consideration here. First, if I am drawing an ocean ecosystem, and who are the primary producers in ocean ecosystem? It will be phytoplanktons. Okay. Now we will take trophic level here on the left hand side. On the right hand side, we will consider dry weight. In kg. Okay. Now imagine the weight of the phytoplankton is 1000 kgs. Phytoplanktons are unicellular, very minute, microscopic organisms. Okay, they are generally plants, and they will be eaten by the zooplanktons, which are again microscopic, unicellular organisms. But they are animals. Here in this case of phytoplanktons, they are the floating plants. In case of zooplanktons, they are the floating animals. Okay, but they are microscopic. Now actually what happens is, in case of ocean ecosystem, the dry weight of phytoplanktons, if we consider as 1000 kgs, then the dry weight of the primary consumer, which are zooplanktons, it is way higher than the weight of the phytoplanktons. It would be almost 3000 kgs. Now again, if we look into the next trophic level 3, which includes secondary consumers, which are small fish. If you weigh the weight, or if you weigh the small fishes, then their weight would come up somewhere around 5000 kgs. Again, if we move on to the trophic level 1, there would be tertiary consumers who are very large fish. Very large fishes, their weight would be somewhere around 10,000 kgs. Okay, then this becomes a inverted pyramid. Okay, here this is the upright pyramid of biomass, where this is the inverted pyramid of biomass, where the weight of the primary producer is much lesser than the weight of the primary consumer. Okay, eventually the primary consumer's weight is lesser than secondary consumer, and secondary consumer's weight is lesser than the tertiary consumer. This is the inverted pyramid for biomass. Okay, now let's have a look into the pyramid of energy. While talking about pyramid of energy, we will have to take into account the Lindman's 10% law. What does Lindman's 10% law say? It says that when energy passes from one trophic level to another trophic level, only 10% of the energy is passed on, whereas 90% of energy is lost in the form of heat to the environment. Okay, so when the energy passes from one trophic level to other trophic level, only 10% of the energy is passed, 90% of the energy is lost in the form of heat to the environment. So, if here you can see again pyramid of biomass, it could be either upright or it could be a inverted pyramid. Let's draw the pyramid of energy. So let's talk about Lindman's 10% law again. When energy passes from one trophic level to the other trophic level, only 10% of the energy is passed on. 90% is lost. Imagine the energy present in primary producers is 10,000 joule. Okay. So here we will consider energy in the form of joule. If the energy present in primary producers is 10,000 joule, when it is transferred to primary consumer, it will be 1000 joule, because 90% of the energy is lost in the form of heat. When again this energy is transferred to the next trophic level, again 90% is lost. Only 10% is transferred to the next trophic level. Again 10% is transferred to the next trophic level. So this is the pyramid of energy. So if you consider any ecosystem, the pyramid of energy is always upright. The pyramid of energy will never be inverted if we consider any ecosystem. Okay, for all the ecosystems, the pyramid of energy will be upright. It can never be inverted, because once we move from one trophic level to the other trophic level, the energy is lost. 90% of the energy is lost. So the pyramid of energy is the only pyramid which will be always in an upright position. It can never be inverted. Okay, this is the speciality of pyramid of energy. With this, we will end this topic known as ecological pyramid. We will move on to another important topic, which is ecological succession. Students, before moving on to ecological succession, we need to know that there are certain limitations to this ecological pyramid. The ecological pyramid is not always 100% accurate. There are certain limitations for these ecological pyramids. So what are these limitations? Now, you look into this particular pyramid, ecological pyramid. In this particular pyramid, we are not considering the organisms which belong to more than one trophic level. For example, human beings. I spoke about human beings in my last class. Now, which trophic level do human beings belong to? Okay, which trophic level we belong to? We do not belong to any particular trophic level. When we draw a food chain, we cannot be included any particular trophic level. What is the reason? We sometimes act as primary consumers. Sometimes we act as secondary consumers. When I say we, human beings. Sometimes human beings will feed on the plants, then we come in the first trophic level as primary consumers. If we eat the grass, if human beings are eating grass, we cannot eat grass. If we consider a plant, if we are considering a plant here in the primary producer place, if human beings are eating this particular plant, then we will be considered as primary consumers. Okay? Sometimes we can act as primary consumers. Now imagine there was a plant and the goat was grazing this particular plant. Now if we eat this particular goat, then we will become secondary consumers. Okay, if we are eating this particular goat, we will become secondary consumer. If we are eating this particular plant, we will become primary consumers. So we come in two different trophic levels. Whereas while drawing this ecological pyramid, this factor is never considered. The organisms who belong to more than one trophic level are not included in ecological pyramid. That is one limitation of ecological pyramid. The second one is, this represents a normal food chain which does not exist in the nature. I have already explained that a food chain cannot exist in nature. What else exists in the nature? In the nature, food web exists. That means the organism belonging to one trophic level or one food chain can be a food of other organism belonging to other food chain. So when there is interaction between two food chains, that is known as food web. The interconnected matrix between different food chains are known as food web. Organism belonging to one trophic level or one food chain can feed on the organism belonging to another food chain, or it can be a food for other organism belonging to other food chain. Okay, so food web is not considered while drawing ecological pyramid. That is again a limitation of ecological pyramid. This just shows a food chain. While drawing ecological pyramid, we just consider food chain which actually does not exist in the nature. We do not consider food web. Okay, here we are taking only one particular food chain and we are drawing the pyramid. We are not considering food web here, which is again a limitation to ecological pyramid. Then the next limitation is, while drawing ecological pyramid, we are not considering these organisms known as saprophytes. Saprophytes are nothing but the organisms who will feed on dead and decaying body of the organism. The organisms who will feed on the dead body and the decaying body. It could be a plant body or an animal body. Okay. Nowhere in our ecological pyramid or nowhere in our food chain we are considering these saprophytes. These saprophytes are very important in the decomposition process. We are not considering these saprophytes in any of the particular level, trophic levels. Whereas if you see clearly, saprophytes can be a primary consumer because they can decompose, they can eat off the plant. It could be a secondary consumer because it can eat a goat. It can completely digest the goat, or they will feed on this particular goat and they will completely decompose this particular goat. Okay, saprophytes can also be in the place of it can be considered in the place of tertiary consumers because it can act on secondary consumer. It can it can feed on the dead body of the secondary consumer. It can feed on the dead body of the primary consumer. It can feed on the dead body of primary producers. So they come in multiple trophic level. These saprophytes are also not included in your pyramid or ecological pyramid, or this is never included in your food chain. So these are the 4 limitations of ecological pyramid. One is organism belonging to different trophic levels are not considered while drawing the ecological pyramid. Food chain is generally considered for ecological pyramid, whereas food chain do not exist in the nature. Food web is the actual, actual phenomenon that is taking place in the nature, but that is not actually considered while drawing the ecological pyramid. Last limitation is saprophytes are not considered while drawing ecological pyramids. They are the actual decomposers who are not considered. Okay, then let's move on to the next topic, which is ecological succession. Next topic is ecological succession. Okay, succession means something is happening one after the other. Okay, so when one after the other, the species composition of an area is changing, that particular process is known as ecological succession. When changes happen one after the other, that is known as succession. If this is happening in an ecosystem, then that particular change is known as ecological succession. What changes can happen in a particular ecosystem? Now, what happens is, you consider any particular community. Okay, let's not talk about the whole ecosystem. Let's talk about a community. While talking about ecological hierarchy, I mentioned about a particular term which is known as community. Community means different populations belonging to different species living in a geographical area. Okay, different populations belonging to different species. For example, in a forest, there is this plant community or different species of plants living with different species of lions, tigers, wolf, sheep, goat, cow, etc. Okay, so this is a community. What is the difference between a community and an ecosystem? Ecosystem also considers abiotic factors along with the biotic factors, whereas community refers only to the biotic factors. Different populations of different species living together in a geographical area is known as community. Let's talk about community. In a community, there could be different species coming together. Generally, that term is known as species composition. Okay, species composition means the different types of species present in a particular geographical area becomes species composition. Now, let's take into account one particular community in a forest. Okay, this includes different types of population: population 1, population 2, population 3, population 4, population 5, population 6 and population 7. When I say population, group of organisms, many individuals belonging to same species. Okay, these are the different populations. Okay, these are the different species. Okay, and every block represents one particular population. Okay, population of different species. Population, when I say number of individuals belonging to one particular species. So these are the different species living in a particular community. Okay, when all the different species live together, we call them as community. This does not consider the abiotic factors. Now, what happens is, imagine there are different species. Okay, population of different species in a particular geographical area. This species, so totally it is referred as species composition. Now, this species composition of a geographical area does not remain the same forever. Right? It will not remain the same forever. What is going to happen? The species composition of a particular geographical area is going to change depending upon the natural condition or the environmental condition. When the environment is changing, the species composition of a geographical area is also changing. Okay, so what is ecological succession? Gradual and fairly predictable changes in the species composition of a geographical area is known as ecological succession. In an ecosystem, when we are talking about a community, in a community there will be many species living together, which is represented as species composition. Okay, in an ecosystem there will be something known as community. Community counts only the biotic components. In the community there would be multiple species living together. A plant, a lion, a tiger, a wolf, a cow, all the different organisms belonging to different species, they live together, which is known as a community. Okay, so every community will have a species composition. Now, when this species composition of a geographical area changes, then that is known as ecological succession. I told you succession means change that happens one after the other. Initially, there will be a species composition like this. Ultimately, the species composition of this particular geographical area changes. Why this change? The change is happening due to environmental condition. When there is environmental condition or when the environment is changing, the species cannot be the same. The species also have to adjust itself, so the species composition also changes depending upon the environmental condition. When there is change in the environment, the species composition of a geographical area also changes. However, please note these two terms. They are gradual and fairly predictable. That means the change which is happening in the species composition, it is gradual. Gradual means it happens very slowly. It does not happen drastically. That means very fast. If the species composition of a particular geographical area, this is a particular geographical area, if the species composition has to change, then it takes a lot of time. So that means it is gradual. It is fairly predictable. Fairly predictable means we can at least, we can imagine that this change is possible. Okay, this is the change that is going to happen. It's not something we cannot predict. Okay, it is something which we can predict, or we can say that this is going to happen. Okay, so such type of change is known as ecological succession. Okay, now in ecological succession, what happens? The communities composition and structure changes depending on the environment. Okay, the species, a community's composition. When I say composition, it's the species composition. When the species composition of a particular community changes, its whole structure changes. Okay, why this change? This change depends on the environment. If the environment is changing, if a particular species is not able to tolerate that particular change in the environment, then the species composition, that particular species itself is going to change. So that is known as ecological succession. This has been happening in our nature since ages. Okay, that is the reason today we have multiple species which are actually able to survive in the present environmental condition. We never know if the environment keeps on changing. The species that are present today, that also might change someday depending upon the environmental condition. Okay, now I said the species composition of an area is going to change, and this change is gradual and fairly predictable. Okay, we will also say these changes are parallel with the environmental change. Okay, when the changes are happening, it is parallel. That means as the environment is changing, the species composition will also change. Both are parallel. When the environment is changing in a geographical area, the species composition is also going to change. The community's composition is going to change. Okay, so this is known as ecological succession. We will have to study more about ecological succession. Now let's consider this particular community as community 0. Okay, now there is this community, all the species present in this particular community or the species composition of this community is facing some environmental changes. Okay, so this community or the species composition will change. When the species composition are changing, it is going to be 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, the whole species composition will change in a new community. So this community can be referred as community 1. Now again this environmental changes are happening. The species composition which is present in this community, still they are not adjusted to this particular environmental change. Again they are going to change. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Okay. So again the species composition will change. These species will change into some other species depending upon the environmental changes. Now again these species present in community 2, now this is community 2, there are certain species which are again not completely balanced with the environmental changes. Again due to environmental changes, the species composition is going to change. So this is community 4. Okay. So now we had a community in a particular geographical area. The community means we had multiple species or a species composition in that particular community, in that particular geographical area. Due to environmental changes, the species composition changed. Again, these species were not completely adapted to that particular environmental changes. They again undergone some certain changes, which is now known as community 2. Finally, we reached a community 3. Sorry, this is community 3. Now, this community is in equilibrium with the surrounding environment. That means they are totally balanced to that particular changing environment. Okay, what is that current environment of that particular geographical area? These species which belong to community 3 are completely adjusted to this particular environment. That means they are in equilibrium with the environment. Okay, so they are completely tolerant to that particular environment. They are in equilibrium. Now, this species composition is not going to change further even though the environmental changes happen. Okay, this particular community or the species composition of the community is not going to change further even though there are environmental changes happening. Okay, so this final community is known as climax community, because this is the community formed at the end of all the different types of transition. Okay, so that is the climax community which is produced at the end of the ecological succession. Okay, so this is the, see why I said gradual and fairly predictable. From the community 0, it directly, the species or the community did not become community 3 or the climax community, right? It went through climax community 1. Community 1 could not again tolerate the environmental changes. It changed into community 2. And finally the community 2 changed into climax community or community 3. This is a gradual change that is happening. Also, we can predict suddenly if the community 0 becomes community 3, then that is drastic change and unpredictable. Whereas this change is predictable change. So this is known as ecological succession. When in an ecosystem, there is a community of organisms living together, due to environmental changes, if this community's composition or the species composition is going to change, then that particular change is known as ecological succession. Now here, the sequence of changes in the community happening, okay, here you see there are different communities formed, right? There is a sequence of communities formed in a sequential order or in a successive order. There are sequence of communities formed. Directly from community 0, it did not reach community 3. There are sequence of communities that are happening in a particular order before reaching the climax community. These sequence of communities, starting from here, these sequence of communities that are formed in the successive, in a sequential order, this is known as seer. Okay, all together, all these communities are together known as community seer. We can skip community 0 and community 4 because we will consider only the communities that come in between the initial community and the climax community. All the communities that are coming in between in a sequential order, the sequence of communities that are formed before reaching the climax community are known as seer. Okay, now if these two communities can be considered as seer. Okay, these two can be considered as seer, whereas individual communities are referred as searal stage. Searal stage, because this is a stage by stage development. So this individual community is known as searal stage. Totally all the communities that are forming in a sequential order are referred as seer. Okay, however, individual community are known as searal stage. This question is important. Okay, what is a seer? This could be asked in your examination for 1 mark. Okay, the community, the sequence of communities that are formed in a sequential order or in a successive order are referred as seer. Individual communities that comes in between the initial community and the climax community are known as searal stages. Okay. Now let's look into the different types of ecological succession. Okay. So let me write what is sear. The entire sequence of communities that successively change in a given area is called as sear. Okay, so the entire sequence of communities that successively change in a particular geographical area is known as sear. What is a searal stage? Searal stage means, I mentioned, it is the individual communities. Okay, individual transitional community. Transitional means there is a transition happening, right? From this community it is changing to this community. So it is a transition or a change. So individual transitional community in a geographical area. So this is a individual transitional community. Again this is a community. That means this is a searal stage. That is a searal stage. Okay. Now let's look into the different types of ecological succession. Succession can be of two types. Primary succession, secondary succession. Okay, when the changes in the species composition of a geographical area happens, it can be of two types. Either it is primary succession or secondary succession. What is the difference between these two? Primary succession happens in an area where no organisms are living. Where no living organisms are present, or we can say ever existed. Okay, so you take an area. Okay, I'll give you the example for this particular primary succession. There is an area where there are no living organisms present in the present situation. Also, there were no living organisms existed there ever. Okay, no living organisms existed in a particular area ever, or present also there are no living organisms in that particular area. Such, in that particular area, if the succession, formation of new and new species or the species composition changes, that particular succession is known as primary succession. Okay, once we deal with this, we will get to know what is it actually. Okay, so primary succession happens in an area where there are no living organisms. When I say no living organisms, no living organisms were ever existed. No living organisms ever existed in that particular geographical area. Whereas secondary succession means it happens in an area where no living organisms are present currently, but there were living organisms living in that particular area in the past. Okay? It happens in an area organisms were present in the past. That means in the time passed by, there were certain living organisms present in a particular area. However, now no organisms are living in that particular area. If succession happens in such areas, it is known as secondary succession. Okay, I'll give you an example before going in detail. Example for primary succession is a bare rock. Okay, or a newly cooled lava or newly formed lake or any water reservoir. Okay, imagine there is a bare rock. No organisms ever lived on this particular rock. Or imagine newly cooled lava. A volcano erupted, the lava flowed out, the lava cooled down. Now that lava is an area where new living organisms can grow. Whereas in that particular lava, no living organisms ever existed. Okay, some organisms are going to be formed newly. Or newly formed lake or any water reservoir. Imagine there is a newly formed water reservoir or a newly formed pond, newly formed pond or newly formed lake. No organisms ever lived in this particular water reservoir. Some new organisms are going to form. Now new species are going to form in that particular area. That is known as primary succession. Okay, a bare rock, newly cooled lava and this particular newly formed water reservoir, no living organisms were present in this particular area in the past. Okay, no organisms ever existed in this particular area. If in this particular area new species composition are going to be formed, then this succession is known as primary succession, where here it happens, secondary succession happens in an area where presently no living organisms are there. However, in the past there were certain living organisms, living in that, living in that particular area. So this is secondary succession. I'll give you some example. Burnt forest or abundant farmlands. Okay, so you consider any particular forest where there was forest fire in the past and the whole forest was burnt. That means in the forest previously there were plant communities, animal communities and microbial communities living, whereas due to forest fire everything, all the living organisms were lost. Okay, so that is a completely abandoned forest now, or a completely empty forest now. So that particular area is referred as secondary, in that particular area secondary succession can happen. Now in that particular forest which had a forest fire in the past, which has lost all its community, it is going to produce new species composition in the future. So this particular succession, if such new species are formed in that particular area, that is known as secondary succession. Whereas abundant farmlands, there were farmers growing agricultural crops in a particular land. It was a farmland. Maybe the yield was not proper, or the nutritional level of the farmland was less. It reduced the farmland was left abandoned by these farmers, left abandoned for several years. So in this particular farmland which is left abandoned, there are no living organisms present, in the current situation. Whereas there were, crops been growing, crops been grown in that particular farmland in the past. Now that particular abandoned farmland or the cropland can be considered as an example where the secondary succession can happen. Once there were farmers growing, different crops in that particular area. After that, it was completely left, abandoned. Nobody used that farmland. Now presently there are no living organisms in that particular farmland. If in that particular farmland new species are going to be formed, then that is known as secondary succession. What is the difference? This happens in an area which is completely new. No living organisms ever existed in that particular area, whereas this succession is going to happen in an area where in the past there were living organisms present. However, it was completely left abandoned, or it was left empty without any living organisms. In that particular area, if new species composition are going to develop, then that is known as secondary composition. So under this ecological succession, we will have to study about hierarch succession and xerarch succession. Okay. Hierarch succession and xerarch succession. Hierarch succession means how succession happened in aquatic habitat. Okay, if the succession, ecological succession happens in water body, that is known as hierarch succession. If the succession is happening in a dry area, that is known as xerarch succession. Okay, there is a difference between hierarch and xerarch. Hydra means water, xerarch means dry. If the succession is happening in aquatic habitat, that is known as hierarch succession. If the succession is happening in a dry area, that is known as xerarch succession. Okay, so here we will know about three more terms: xeric, hydric, mesic. Okay, these are the three terms which we need to be familiar. The xeric condition means very dry condition. Hydric condition means it is a watery condition where there is more moisture or water content. Mesic condition is a condition which is not, it is a dry condition. Xeric. Hydric means it is a wet condition. Mesic condition is a condition where it is neither dry nor wet. Okay, mesic is a condition where it is neither dry area or nor it is a wet area, whereas xeric means it is a completely dry area. Hydric means it is a wet area. The succession can happen both in dry and wet condition. However, you should be clear here that the dry condition will lead to this mesic condition. That means the xeric condition can become a mesic condition. Hydric condition can also become a mesic condition. That means when the succession happens, the dry region will also turn into a mesic region. The wet region will also turn into a mesic region. So how this hierarch succession and xerarch succession happens, we will study in our next class. Both are very important for your examination. Thank you.